Okay, hello everyone, this is K's show here, and I just recorded part 1 to this series, and I did not like it, so this is going to be the new part 1. And this is actually going to be my 400th subscriber special, because somehow I am very popular. Now, what I mean by I just recorded part 1, I brought in some of the extended lore, and actually did not like the way it turned out, so I'm going to be trying to restart this. I also tried bringing in Aldridge City, which someone said I should keep in, but I can keep it in, but I can just change it up as much as I want to, since it's essentially something that does not exist, but does exist at the same time. Kind of like Schrodinger's cat. Now, okay. Now then, Judge Dredd takes place about roughly 170 years, if not 120 years, after nuclear war. And they're not going to be in the US before you ask. They're still going to be in Japan. Or in China. Or where does my hero take place? Anyways. Now then. The way this is going to work is Deku, or Izuku Midoriya, he is born on the lunar base on Mars. Now, people, they have effectively gotten rid of a lot of the radiation back on the planet, but it's still lingering. There have been effects to suck up radiation and actually help get rid of it, but that does not work. And a lot of the heroes with some of their quirks that can actually do that, they either don't do it or they prefer not to perform duty like that because it can kill them. Because radiation takes roughly 20 years for the cancer to grow and kill your body. But let's say that there's roughly no radiation left anymore, and that it's now just something people don't think about. Deku, he was born back on the moon base, and he's looking over the world, saying that it's such a great, it's very beautiful, and he hopes that they can go there one day. Now, Deku's mom, she would walk into the house, and she'd put her gun back into her waistband, telling Deku that one day they are going to be going to the Earth, or one day they are going to be going back to the surface, but it's going to be a bit hard, because they came to the moon base because your dad found a job here. Now, Deku's dad used to work on a company back on the ground, and it was considered very, very powerful, because it's essentially the firearm company, if not used to be the weapons company that supplied the judges with their firearms. Now, when I say used to, this is because over the years, the judges have stopped popping up. They are still considered judges, but they just turned into the heroes. After the heroes started popping up, and the quirks started happening more often, the Quirk Association eventually just swallowed the Justice Department, essentially becoming the judges. So, everyone with a quirk that is a hero, they are employed as judges, but they can still go by hero names. Except you just put, like, Judge Eraserhead. But people don't really refer to them as judges anymore, so they just call them the hero names. But they still control every law, every action. Basically, if you were to litter, you get community service, if one ordered you to do so. And if you did not comply, you were either arrested and thrown in jail, or shot on sight. Because you were essentially a walking justice system. Now, I just watched a video, or half of a video, on the whole Judge Dredd mythos, and I need to rewatch the movie tomorrow. So I'm going to be posting this one part tonight, and posting tomorrow, after I watch the movie. Well, the 2012 movie. Now then, Deku's mom would actually be told as soon as Deku's dad comes home that he got a new job, he got a promotion, they're going to be going back to the ground. It's a miracle, it's amazing. This is whenever... Okay. You guys know the giant apartment buildings? Crap, they're... Oh god, this is why I need to rewatch the movie. Jesus. Now then. They're like the apartment complex. That's a huge city. Mega city. I think... Oh no, I don't think that's the right term. The block, I think that's called. They would move into a new block back on Earth. They would actually meet... Well, Deku would meet Bakugo while walking around the block and going to a preschool. Everyone's talking about quirks, and Deku being the fanboy he is, he has on an old judge helmet that he got at part of a collector's item, which he always pretends to be a hero with. He would just say that he's Judge All Might. Now, after people are explaining what their quirks are, Deku and Bakugo haven't manifested theirs yet. But let's leave that off of here. Okay, I have time to do centralized world building. Okay. I'm setting this down and turning my mic up. Sorry for what you guys just probably heard. Now, the time of the judges has passed. This is a new era. It's a new way. It's a new way of life for everyone on Earth, because the radiation has finally died down enough to where they can come back, or if not, start habiting every part of the planet that they used to be on. People are now happy and excited. And Aldrin is now habitable to some people. They would go there, but they'd still be met with some residual radiation, which just means the entire city would have to be nuked or blown to bits and rebuilt after a cleanup or incineration. Now then, after all this would happen, Deku, he would meet, well, I was going to say meet someone, but he's still in kindergarten. I forgot, I just rebuilt it. I forgot I reset the entire universe. Now, this is whenever Deku he would meet with, he would meet with Bakugo, and he's talking about how he's probably gonna get a really cool quirk like All Might's, or even like what Dredd used to have. Bakugo would laugh and say that Dredd was quirkless. You're thinking about that one chick he used to roll with. Deku, he's saying that doesn't make sense. He thought Dredd had a quirk. This is whenever the teachers would pop up and say that Dredd was around whenever quirks started popping up, but it used to be the really simple ones, like the telekinesis, pyrokinesis, all that type of stuff. It was more before all that happened. In fact, it was more cybernetics than quirks. He's really interested by this, and this is whenever Deku, he would be thinking, and he actually just starts talking, and as soon as he would have opened his mouth, he would have breathed fire, which would confuse him. Now, he would immediately go to cover his mouth and actually burn his hands a little bit. So, after burning his hands, the teachers would send him to the nurse's office, and he would be sent home for the day because he just unlocked his quirk. Now, Deku would go to the quirk doctor, and they would find that he doesn't have one quirk, he has two quirks. He essentially has both his mom and dad's quirk, but they're not mixed together. Essentially, he has pyrokinesis, but he can use his quirks separately, which they don't know whether to classify as three quirks or one, which they can actually do one, since he can use both sides of it without using the other. And I know that's a cheap thing to do, but if you guys let me explain, all the years after Deku has lived on the moon, they've essentially been taking on solar radiation. Now, because of that, Deku's quirk, he actually developed a mutation of the quirk gene, which gives him the mutant gene. Not like how Kid Zeus does his What If Deku Was a Mutant or an X-Men. He would have some of the mutant abilities, but not all of them. Or, no, let's just keep it as it's a quirk and it's a more advanced version of his mom's. So he can do everything that Judge's sidekick can do, just he's gonna have to learn it over time. Now, moving on from that, Deku, he'd go back to his block or his level and actually tell people that he got a quirk, And one thing I forgot to explain, that I just realized I did not explain, is the population of the world. It's actually a bit lower, and because of that, the megacities are essentially they're still megacities, they're just bigger than normal. So the world doesn't have to deal with a lot of overpopulation, and basically every city is around the size of New York, and some cities were smaller and got merged together. Basically, it's still like My Hero Academia, but it's just the entire cities are connected. And I just almost puked in my mouth. That's disgusting. Now, because of this, man, Deku and Baku are talking, and their block is essentially just like an apartment complex, except it's just taller and bigger, and their school is actually in the complex. They're talking, they're walking around the block, and they were actually going to go to the playground area, which isn't on top of the building because of how dangerous that would be. It's actually somewhere in the lower parts. They'd go down there and they'd be playing, and Bakugo would unlock his explosions and be somewhat arrogant about it. But Deku would just blow fire towards him and tell Bakugo to calm down, and that since he unlocked his quirk, they should fight each other to see who's better. And Deku would actually win with his two quirks. And he'd actually discover his pyrokinesis, or what his actual quirk is, together, along with meet a girl with a weird quirk, and an odd obsession with space. Now, I think you guys know what I'm doing here. I told someone I was going to be covering a what if where I do a Deku and Uraraka ship soon. This was the one. Now, she would meet him and she'd be kind of confused, saying that, aren't you that kid that burned his hands? Deku would say he is, and she'd ask him why he's wearing an old judge helmet. He's saying that the judges were some of the best heroes he ever seen. They were super cool, and he plans on being a judge when he grows up. She would tell him that that's pretty neat, but you know that the laws for the judges have changed a lot, right? Deku would ask what she means, and Uraraka is more mature, so she'd actually probably know what a lot of things are because her parents would talk to her about it. And her dad would probably have gotten caught, like, not working one day, or not working, but he probably would have got caught stealing food. So he probably would have just gotten, like, he would have gotten a smack on the wrist along with probably a food coupon or something. So it would allow him to, hey, you have to do community service at a soup kitchen, but you're also going to get food to help you. certain things like that. Because Uraraka's family is actually poor, so they would live on the lower levels. Which, I know it sounds bad, but that's actually how it is. It's either that, or you use the bus system and sleep under a bridge. Which is very messed up. It's very messed up. Anyways, after that, they would be talking, and this is whenever she would explain that her quirk is, she calls it Uravity, and it's pretty neat, it's pretty cool. And instead of the apartment buildings, I think, being 80 stories tall, let's cut that down to about 30. So I'm changing the mythos, but still keeping it a bit in lore. So I'm just making it to where the population is down, the buildings won't be as tall, but they're still spread out very far. Keeping the megacities and actually letting me have more free room to play with these things. So there would be crime in the city, in the blocks, but not as much, to where a judge would have to come in every single day. But let's just say that on this occasion, a judge had to come in because of a reported armed robbery. Now, Deku and Bakugo, they would have heard the fire or the shots get fired, and they would start running back to their houses. And they're actually neighbors in this timeline. So they're running. Uraraka is actually going with them because she's not sure what to do and she's pretty scared. So she's going with them, and Deku would in the elevator. They would have actually walked in, and there's a strange man who would actually stop the door, walk in, and he has a judge helmet on himself. He would walk in, and he's looking really stern, and he would immediately just look down on the kids, look at them, and then immediately just turn his head back into the elevator, actually pressing the floor. But he's realizing that these kids already pressed the floor that he's heading to. He would then look at them and tell them to stay in the elevator when he gets there, or when they get to the floor, as he would unequip his firearm. Now, after unequipping it, Deku and Bakugo and Uraraka, they're all hiding in the elevator, hiding behind the judge, and he would immediately just start firing off his firearm, or his lawbringer. Now, he's actually telling it to shoot flares, he's telling it to shoot explosive rounds, armor-piercing rounds, and stuff like that, because of one of these guys would have a very weird quirk which hardens his body. Now, the judge would immediately walk in to the apartment, and he would see that two of the guys are actually shot and killed. And Deku's mom would immediately see the judge, and she aims at him, but the judge would look at her and actually tell her to put the gun down. She would set the gun on her table, actually taking out the magazine and the bullet in the chamber by just cocking it backwards, taking the bullet out. Now, he's asking her to explain, and he will give her a sentence. Deku would walk in, asking his mom what happened, and Deku's dad would tell her that these guys broke in and tried to rob them, and that they fired first, as the judge would see Deku's dad with a bullet hole in his shoulder, actually bleeding a lot. The judge would say that that is fair, and he judges them innocent, as he would drag the bodies out and into the elevator, taking them down to the lower levels. And Deku's dad would actually have to go to a hospital. And Judge Tiger would leave. Now, that is where I'm going to be. No, I still have time to squeeze this in. Now, Uraraka would actually have to take a different elevator back down to her level, and she would get down there at the same time the judge did, and the judge would ask her what floor she's, or if she lives on this floor, and actually take her back to her room, or her house. Now, as soon as her mom would open the door and see a judge, she tries not to go into cardiac arrest, as the judge would tell her that this is her daughter was playing at the playground, and there was an incident, and he would give her the explanation about what happened, and how she went with these two boys, and actually saw this happen, but he gave him all the full explanation and say that everyone is fine, but it's just a man got injured, along with 4 men are found dead. Well, not, well, 2 men were found dead and 3 men are injured. Hmm. Now, the reason why I said the judge's rules were different, some people still embody the judge's rules, which means they stick to the judge's code. Now, these people, they are approved by the hero agency, but they're their own small police force, so a well-regulated militia. Now, at least one man lives like this in the apartment complex, or at least a couple, because there's still probably about, if I'm correct, the apartment complexes can house about 50,000 people each, and cutting it down to 30 stories, along with actually making it its own separate city in itself. Let's say we can cut that number down to about 80,000, 30 floors, 50, divide, wait, okay, multiply, divide. I can say there's probably about 10,000 people in each complex. That does not sound like a lot for a 30-floor building, but it's probably quite a bit. But that would be them living somewhat comfortably, just a little cramped together. Actually, not 10,000 people, let's say like 2,000 to 5,000. And this judge was a hardcore fan of the judges. And he would have saw Deku's helmet, and he would have just left. Now, this is actually a quirkless judge. And I just realized I said Judge Tiger. I cannot unimagine that image now, but let us not do that. I just called him Judge Tiger because I could not think of a name. Actually, yeah, if you guys want Tiger to be a judge, because he would seem like a judge to me, just tell me in the comments, and if you guys don't want him to be a judge, I can just change the name of this guy. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace out, y'all.